Welcome to class 5. Today we are going to see an interesting poem. Okay, let's move to the poem. The name of the poem is My Shadow. Okay, so this poem is all about shadow, right? Okay, now this poem was written by Robert Louis Stevenson. So this is Robert Louis Stevenson. He is Scottish novelist, poet, as well as travel writer. Okay, he likes to travel and he likes to write a lot. Okay, now we'll move on to the poem. I read the poem for you, My Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow, not at all like proper children, which is always very slow, for he sometimes shoots up taller like an Indian rubber ball, and he sometimes goes so little that there's none of him at all. One morning, very early, before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepy head, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. In this poem, the poet is talking about a little boy and his interest in his shadows. Okay, now we move on to the poem. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. So, here in these lines, the boy is telling, okay, he has a little shadow, and also that is always present with him. The shadow is always present with him whenever he goes outside or he comes inside, and also anywhere in the sun. Okay, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. Second line, in the second line, the boy is telling, apart from observing the shadow or following him wherever he goes, I can do more things with the shadow. So that's what is telling. Okay, next, he's very, very like me from the heels up to the head. Okay, now can you see the heel? That is our foot. Okay, that's called heel. Okay, so in this line, the boy says that it is the shadow is just like him, because the shadow means our shadow, right? So it just like him from heel to head. Okay, so the poet uses heel to head to show that the boy is very much interested, that the shadow is connected to him from the heel and then grows towards the head. Okay, next, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. So here the boy is again excited to see how often it is always ahead of him, always before him, and jumps in the bed before he does. Before this boy goes into the bed, that shadow already goes into the bed. He gets also excited to see how his shadow is always following him, right? Our shadow always follows us because our shadow, it's ours, so it's always following us. So this is very much this boy is very much interested in his shadow. Okay, but in all ways ahead of him too, not only following him, but also sometimes it is very much ahead of him. Ahead means before him. Okay, before anything he do, this shadow will do. Okay, that's what ahead means. Okay, now the funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. Not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. So, in this line, this boy says that the shadow grows faster, unlike the normal kids. Normal kids, like how we grow like a baby and then we'll move to childhood, everything. But this boy is telling this shadow grows faster, unlike the normal kids who grow slower than the shadow. So he's telling shadow is growing very fast. Next, not at all like proper children. Proper children means like we are, how we used to grow, but the shadow is growing very fast. Okay, next, and not only that, for he sometimes shoots up taller like an Indian rubber ball. So first he says it grows very fast, right? In the next line is the boy is telling, is comparing now. Is comparing the shadow with the Indian rubber ball. Say for example, if you take a rubber ball, if you bounce, what will happen? It will go higher, right? So that's what the comparison here the boy is telling. Okay, the shadow shoots up taller. That how the ball, when you bounce the ball, how it goes up very high. In the same way, the shadow is also getting taller. Okay, this is what the boy is telling. Next, and he sometimes so little that there's none of him at all. See, as I said in the video also you have watched, if the sunlight or the light is above our head, we can't see our shadow. In the same way, this boy is telling he sometimes gets so little. Little means sometimes it will be very bigger and sometimes it will be a little. And then he is so surprised by how the shadow grows big and sometimes small every day, which he has not seen happening to anyone or anything else around him. So he's thinking that for him only his shadow is growing and is becoming small. Okay, next. So dew means small drops of water. Okay, can you see in this the first picture on the leaves you can see dew, right? So the small drops of water. Okay, especially during because of moisture of their hair, during the night time you will see dew. Okay, so where he saw dew shining on every leaf. So here the poet is mentioning on every buttercup. The second picture you see a yellow flower, right? So that is buttercup. The name of the flower is buttercup. Okay, upon the buttercup he saw a shining dew. Okay, next. But my lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepyhead, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. So now what happened? The poet is telling about the excitement of the boy to see that for the first time. So he's from the beginning he says my shadow grows faster than me, and sometimes it goes tall and sometimes it becomes small. So all those things the boy was explaining. Now for the first time his shadow was not following him, and the boy is telling, so lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepy head. See how this girl is so sleepy. When you feel sleepy, you'll go to bed, right? So errant means bad. So you really want to sleep. So the boy is telling his shadow felt lazy. That's why he stayed up. The shadow stayed up behind at home. So now what happened? This boy is enjoying the sunrise. While he was enjoying the sunrise, his shadow stayed at his bed. So that's what this boy is telling. This also means when the boy goes into the bed, his shadow went in with him. But when he got up out of the bed in the morning, his shadow didn't come along. So this what is boy is thinking. This poem is all about imagination, about a simple thing called shadow, but we are exaggerating and we are telling how important it is, and we are noticing even a small thing in our life. So that was this poem is telling. Now what are the new words you learn from this poem? Indian rubber ball. So I said the ball that can bounce very high. So that's why the poet is comparing the shadow with the Indian rubber ball. Next, buttercup. So I told you, right, the yellow flower. Errant. So who is errant here? The shadow. So the boy is telling his shadow is very errant sleepy head. Errant means bad. So this is what the poem. Do you all understand the poem? Okay. So I hope you will understand the poem. Thank you.